Welcome back to the Halloween Tea Party, guys, where I'm attempting to do 31 tutorials for the 31 days of October. Seeing as Halloween is quite a lot about sweets, I decided to do a little sweet inspired look. So let's get painting. To start out, I'm taking an eyebrow pencil just to map out all of the spirals on my face. And because these spirals are alternating colors, you need to make sure you end up with enough sections to not finish with two whites next to each other or two reds next to each other, which might have happened to me the first time I tried to do this look. When you're doing this mapping out, it's nice to think about the lips because I ended up with one almost full stripe going across my lips, which meant I could just do my lips the alternating color. But ideally, if I'd thought about it before, I probably would have gone half. So I could have had half of a red stripe on one side with white lips and half of a white stripe on the other side and done red on that side. Once I'm happy with how everything's mapped out, I'm going in with some white face paint to fill in all of the white stripes. I'm not going right up to my eye yet, but because white can be a bit tricky to get a nice, even, opaque coverage with, I'm starting out with a wax-based paint on a flat eyeshadow packing brush just to fill in the main bulk of the sections. And then once that's completely dry, I'm going back in with a glycerin-based paint because I find they layer on top of each other really, really nicely to give you that opaque base. But obviously you could just do this with one kind of paint. It just takes a little bit more effort. Once I've got the bulk of the white in, I'm switching over to a detail brush to do the white that's very close to my eye. And you probably want to keep your eye closed while you're doing this until that paint has completely dried. Then just to set that paint, I'm going in with a white eyeshadow and a tiny brush and just patting the eyeshadow on top of that paint. This is just going to help it last longer and it's going to stop it from creasing and rubbing and transferring too much. Then I'm going in with a red face paint and I don't have as many problems getting a nice opaque base with red, so I'm just using a glycerin based red. And it's pretty much the same process as the white, so I'm using a flat eyeshadow packing brush just to lay down the larger areas of red and being really, really careful up against the edges of the white because you don't want any of the red to bleed into the white or the white to get into the red. If you feel like that might be a problem using a bigger brush, then you could use a detail brush first just to get a nice crisp line against the white and then fill in the rest with red. And then, like with the white, once the bulk of the red is in, I'm switching over to a small detail brush to get the red in around the eye. And of course, keep your eye closed till it's dry to minimize any transfer. And you can set it with a matching eyeshadow. If you don't have a matching eyeshadow, then you could just use a translucent powder just to set the whole eye area. Because the initial white layer has had plenty of time to dry and set, I'm going back in with the white now just to give it an extra layer in any areas where it looks patchy. If you're still having problems and it's still looking a bit patchy for you, then you could go in with the white eyeshadow when it's dry and just add kind of a layer of white eyeshadow to try and help with any uneven areas. My neck was feeling a bit bare and I wanted to bring that into the look. So I decided to make it look like the sweet was kind of melting down my neck. So I'm looking straight on in a mirror and mapping out where it's going to be dripping down because I want the colors to match up as much as possible with what I have on my face. So I'm using the eyebrow pencil to just extend the white sections down and the red sections down. And then at the bottom, I'm just drawing a kind of dripping pattern that goes down my chest and back over my shoulders. And then, of course, filling in the white sections with white and the red sections with red. I'm using a detail brush to go around all of the drips so that I can have really nice, crisp lines along the edges. For the lips, because I have that white stripe going across them, I'm doing them red. So I'm just lining them with a red lip liner and then going in with a red liquid to matte lipstick that kind of matches pretty closely with the red I already have down, and filling in my lips with that. Like I said, if I thought this through in the beginning, I probably would have tried to get it half and half. If any of you do that, I would love to see a picture because I'm sure that would look amazing. And back to the drips on my neck. I wanted to make them look a little bit more 3D, so I'm adding some just soft shadows, nothing too intense, underneath the drips. So I'm starting out with a cool toned brown shade, which is something that I would use for my contour, to add just a bit of shadow under there. And I'm using quite a soft brush to do this so that I don't get a very harsh line, and I'm blending it out so it's very, very soft. Then I'm going back in with a black eyeshadow and a tiny, tiny detail brush to add in some harsher shadows, and I'm keeping this really, really tight to the edge of the drips and not blending it out too much. And you don't want to add these shadows around the entire collar, otherwise it's going to look more like it's outlined rather than it has a shadow. So I'm just adding the shadows in the places where they would naturally be if I was wearing a collar that was slightly raised. You could totally leave the look here. I really like how the look is at this point, but I just wanted to add something a little bit extra to give it a bit of an optical illusion kind of effect. I wanted to make the eye with the spiral coming from it look more like the spiral was going into the eye and the eye is like further back. So I'm taking some black eyeshadow on a packing brush and just covering my entire lid, my crease area, and a bit underneath my lower lash line in the black eyeshadow. And then I'm taking a blending brush and blending that outwards along the spirals. And you really want to get that nice gradient, which can be a bit tricky against face paint because face paint is a bit sticky. So it would be maybe a good idea to add some translucent powder or something first to take away that tackiness of the face paint and make it much easier to blend on top of. Also, if you are not going to put down a powder first before you do this blending, then you probably want to use two blending brushes, because when you blend on top of the red, the brush is going to pick up a bit of that red pigment. And then if you try and blend on the white, the red is going to start blending into your white. So one brush for the white, one brush for the red, or powder stuff first. So that's it, guys. You are now a weird sweet. I hope you liked this video. There will be another one going live tomorrow. So if you want to be notified when that's up, then you can hit the subscribe button. And if you like this look and this video, you can let me know by hitting the like button. As always, if you have any comments or questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. If you decide to recreate this look, I would love to see how it comes out. You can post it to social media, tag me in the post and use the hashtag halloweenteaparty, and then I will see it. I'm also having a little competition over on Instagram, so if you want to be in with a chance of winning some goodies, then head over there and all the details are there, and I will leave links and things in the description box below, along with all of the products that I have on my face right now. If this look isn't quite what you were looking for, then here are some alternatives that might be a bit more your style, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. I hope you all have an amazing Halloween, guys.